Hey, my name is Sarah and welcome back to another episode of Talking Fast. Just like me every single week. Oh, just like me.
I'm so much like you.
Just like every single week alongside me is manager Jacob.
What's up, Sarah?
I've gotten less of those manager inquiries and I think it's because people maybe finally listen to me rant about it.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I've talked about this for now 2 years. It's not going to be just about you, but I think that's not, that question mark, it persists in my life of people who are curious about what I do for a living.
And don't understand.
I'm just going to make a couple, maybe TikToks, maybe Reels, and just like have one on my profile and be like, send them that if they don't know what I do.
That was like when I got in my surfing accident. I didn't want to explain to people. I would just send them my 8-minute long TikTok.
Exactly. Just a quick outline.
What are you eating or drinking this week?
Okay, this is a big one. And I know that Izzy has started a series called Talking Fast or Talking Facts, other way around.
Correct.
No, that's right.
Correct. That's correct.
Where
great series. We did not know it was starting, but it's great.
We didn't know, but it's one of my favorite things.
It's
and
great.
She has been reviewing along with Jaden, basically our recommendations from the show, the things we talk about off the top of the show here. So I did mention that I was going to talk about this one, and hopefully it makes it into a series in the future.
You're fishing for the Talking
I am fishing. Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
Because you just got a latte and
Milkies.
absolutely nailed that it was Talking Facts.
Yeah.
I was excited about this place to open. There is another location kind of in Regent Park near where I live, but one opened even closer called Le Beau. It's a bakery, coffee shop right across from the Distillery District on Cherry Street.
Okay.
It's in a new development, so I was excited that something's actually moving in there to make the neighborhood a little bit more neighborhoody. Took a run down there with Haley. Actually, I took 2 runs down there, and I got the same thing twice. An apple pie croissant. It was amazing. It is full of like...
How is it different than an apple fritter?
It's an apple puree that is piped into the inside, and then also like a dollop on top, and then it has like an apple glaze as well on top of that.
Damn.
It is, their pastries across the board are fantastic, but this one stood out as like, I would say, worth coming from the West End to the East End to go and try it. I enjoyed that. What about you? What are you eating or drinking this week?
I finally went to the Federal for brunch.
This is wild to me. That
I've never been.
The Federal to me is like what the Well is to you.
Me, I know.
Just because I've gone so many times and it's so good.
Essentially what happened was my friend Kayla, it was March break and she's a teacher, and now that I'm like, whoa, I can like not work for the day, I can choose not to.
Yeah.
So we went to brunch at 2 p.m. on a Thursday. It was amazing. It was the only time we would be able to get in there, like truly.
Yeah.
We went. It was delicious. She had the gold standard breakfast sandwich.
Did you have it?
No, I don't know. I'm a big egg person.
Yeah.
I had their like, I will always order like a chicken sandwich if it's on a menu.
Yeah.
And it was that on like a sourdough. And it was like a curry chicken moment with avocado and stuff. It was so yummy. Anyways, it was delicious, super cute. Lives up to the hype. So talking facts, because we've talked about the Fed a million times on this podcast, and like it was one of those things where Kayla picked it. We walked there and I went, like I sat down and looked at the menu and went, oh my God, like I know what this, I literally didn't realize I knew what it was.
I for sure talked about it twice maybe on this podcast.
At least twice. So anyways.
Amazing.
It was great. It lived up to the hype.
What are you watching or reading this week, Sarah?
Okay, I have a new show that I'm obsessed with because we've already talked about Severance.
Yeah.
And like our love of it. Next show that you need to watch is The Pit.
Okay, I know nothing about this.
Not a medical drama person normally. I did watch Grey's Anatomy, but whatever. The Pit, every person on TikTok that's like works in the medical field, works in the ER, any of that stuff has said it is the most accurate medical show they've ever seen.
Now, is this like a name of like The Pit is the ER room, or is it based in Pittsburgh?
No, it's both. So it's a double entendre. Okay. Yeah. So it's based in Pittsburgh, but The Pit is what they call like the emergency room.
Yeah.
It's called The Pit. And so each episode is 1 hour of the same 12-hour shift.
Ooh.
So it's like
24 Jack Bauer.
Yeah, it's like it's a mix of if ER and 24 had a baby.
Ooh, that's cool.
So the first episode is 7 a.m. till 8 a.m. And it's cool because it's like it feels more like a play because it's in real time. So it's like just the dance of like seeing how many patients they see in a couple hours. Insane. And like the amount of different things. Anyways, we started last night, hooked. I'm obsessed with it. And the guy used to be on ER, and apparently he signed back on to this show because he said he wanted to like post-COVID help make a show that's like accurate to the medical field.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask, because you off the top you referenced people in the medical field on TikTok have been talking about it, so it is they said it's accurate.
like and it like touches on how they're understaffed. It talks about COVID PTSD and like the having to like deal with COVID, like when like peak COVID times. It really just shows you how many people go through the ER in like a couple hours, and like how you literally like have to go from one room where you're telling some parents that their teenager's brain dead because he took fentanyl, to then the next room they have to go and like trach somebody. Like it's crazy. And just like the mind shift, like how you have to like shift your brain.
Yeah.
New level of respect. Not that I didn't not have respect for doctors and stuff before, but like in that space, like watching it firsthand like this, especially with all the hype they're giving, saying that it's so medically accurate.
And maybe with a continued government in Ontario here, we can maybe have a little bit more empathy for our own
exactly.
hospital workers.
Exactly. Maybe. We'll see how that goes though. In the future, we'll clip this off once we discover based on our new government, well, new same government. What about you? What are you watching?
Okay. Are you in on the New York City TikTok influencer girl drama?
I am.
Are you like well versed in it?
Enough.
Okay.
I know how it initially was blown up because one girl like duetted a video from a girl that had only like a couple hundred followers, and it was like not something anyone would have seen, and that's what made it blow up. Yeah,
there was one creator, Grace Brinkley, who I knew peripherally because she's like kind of friends with a couple clients of mine, but I think that she had maybe the best take, and I'm gonna have to paraphrase because I can't remember exactly what she was talking about, but she essentially boiled it down to saying, listen, if you shouldn't be impressed by someone whose entire popularity is based on having you purchase things.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is so true. And it's just like boiled down the drama of like the back and forth and who said what and who's calling out who. It's just like that plays out as an entertaining kind of, reality show online. But it's true. It makes you sit back and think like, oh, why are these people so popular? And are you actually influencing someone? Or to kind of the curation point I think we talked about recently is that they're professional at purchasing things and trying to say to you a lot of the time that you can be a part of this club if you also buy into these ideas
and go to these Pilates classes.
Yeah, which is just not the case. And as someone who works in the business, I took that as a nice reminder of producing things of substance first. And if you're influencing people to purchase things as a result of that, fantastic.
But that shouldn't be like the main.
Yeah, that shouldn't be your entire personality. Agreed. So that's what I've been watching.
What are you listening to?
Okay, shout out Mount Joy.
Love Mount Joy.
Great band.
I've always wanted to see them live. I have seen them live.
Have you?
They opened for Arkells at the first rally.
Oh, shout out. Are you going to go to the rally this year?
I cannot go to the rally this year.
I've never been. Maybe I'll go.
It's fun.
Mount Joy came with new tracks, so I'm assuming there's a new album coming out.
Probably.
The song More, More, More. It was like windows down yesterday, and this song was playing as I was driving through the city.
That feels very Mount Joy.
And it was. I have a Mount Joy tattoo, kind of. Yeah, I was
like inspired by a song.
Yeah, I have a lemon tree.
Yes, I know of this tattoo.
Branch, as because one of their songs starts. I just found a lemon tree. It's a bad day for my enemies. And that's
of course, that's what your thing is inspired by.
Anyway, check it out. It's a great song. What about you? What are you listening to?
Look, you talking about a band that I actually know. I don't know why I wasn't listening before, but Haim.
Yeah.
I am now.
Wait, you weren't a Haim fan before?
No, it's not that I wasn't a fan. It's just I had never really listened to their music before. But they
are in the Taylor Swift
they're
adjacent.
In the Taylor Swift universe,
yeah.
So that's why it's shocking. But as I expand my musical interests from just beyond Taylor Swift, the song "Relationships" that they had came out. It's like all over my TikTok feed.
Which I think, don't quote me on this, was produced by Aaron Dessner.
Yeah. And I think so. I think you are accurate in that. Probably why I liked it and started listening to it. And they've just been doing a lot of like really good promo for it.
Yeah.
So and also like their music is perfect for like what the weather is right now. Like spring, summer's coming.
So
you're
vibing,
windows down. Like you're feeling like. I'm also realizing I knew a lot more of their songs than I thought I did. So they must be on some playlist that I've listened to. But I'm all in. When they go, they're going to release an album this year, and then when they go on tour. Put me in that queue.
Oh,
I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm going to that show.
I'm all in.
Also, have you listened to, and if you haven't yet, go listen to it right at. Maybe we should pause the show to listen to it. We're busy, we can't. One of the sisters, I cannot remember for the life of me. I'm sorry, Haim sisters. I can't remember.
Alana, Danielle, or Este?
Este, I think.
Yeah, Este's are friends of mine.
Is on a new Bon Iver track.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Yep, that's Este.
And that was a great track.
So like Este's the one that's Esty and Danielle sing. Alana's the one that does percussion, but Alana's the one that was in like Licorice Pizza, like in that show. She's like an actress as well.
Oh, okay.
So she's in some upcoming projects. They're all just cool. And also, a thing I like about Haim that I was thinking about today is they're all in their like mid to late 30s. And I feel like they're about to like pop off even more right now. Like this song feels like even bigger. Like they've always been like popular, but I think they're like about to hit like another level. And I think that's a really nice refresher. And they're all very cool and give a young energy. And they're in their mid to late 30s and women and thriving. And that made me feel very happy.
love to see a co-headlining show of Haim and Chappell Roan.
Oh, you think there's enough crossover?
I think so. That's
an interesting take. Okay.
Sarah, something you did this week. We have the same one.
We did the same one, but we are opposite sides of the same coin. I said, let's go out for St. Patrick's Day, and I'm so happy I did it. I don't know why I haven't done it the past couple of years.
And I said I went out for St. Patrick's Day, and I hadn't done it for the last couple of years as well, and I said I am not doing that again.
What was your reason for not? Because of like lines and stuff, or what?
Okay, so the reason I went out in the first place is that Haley has a friend, Nicole, who they do this every year. Her and a few of her girlfriends are like grew up Irish dancing essentially, and so they reconnect every year and they rehearse for a few weeks and then they go and do kind of a bar tour around Toronto.
Okay.
So I think they did like 5 or 6 different bars maybe. And they just like have a Irish dancing set essentially in the middle of the time of the bar there.
That's so
and
fun.
So we went and caught them at a couple places. The Pine, which is like right beside the Rogers Center. And then this is not my scene, but we went to Belfast Love.
Oh,
just like
interesting. On St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, and listen, not my place. And it's just like I think
bring up the average age of that place by like
probably about 100 years. Yeah. Yeah. I did. There was one guy who was like totally just kind of a weird dude and he was dancing. And I was like, I like that guy. He's just like doing his thing. But everyone else was annoying me.
Yeah. Because they were like children.
There were just way too many people.
Yeah,
there were way too many people. Everyone was hammered, which listen, I get it. It's St. Patrick's Day. It's just like, I don't want to be rubbing elbows with some sweaty person who smells and is, going to spit on my...
I think I figured out the formula. I think St. Patrick's Day, much like New Year's, is a house party day. Because I threw a house party in the afternoon. I then went to an event and had so much fun. Like we loved it, but we just spent our entire time outside because it was so beautiful. But like then I was like, we could have just stayed at my apartment and done that on the balcony.
See, I was packed. Maybe I just did it wrong.
Like
I was packed.
We had so much fun. Like day drinking is amazing because then you can go to bed at a decent time. So we had like the party and then we went to the St. Patrick's Day event with Guinness, which was really fun.
It looked good.
And it was like really good vibes. And there were so many of us.
I don't drink Guinness. I maybe have had 1 Guinness or 2 Guinnesses in my life before this. I had a Guinness the other day.
How'd it taste?
I didn't like it.
Okay.
Listen, nothing against Guinness.
It's better in Ireland. And then we went to the Wheat Chief after.
Classic.
But the line to get into that place was absurd. But luckily I have my
the line
ways,
that you skipped?
The line that I skipped, I didn't have to.
As a VIP. And no, we're not even talking like as a content creator.
No, it's
Toronto.
Just the fact that I've spent so much money there over the years, and if literally
at this point you're an investor in the Wheat Chief.
might as well be. I might as well be. Truly, I actually had a couple times ago, the daughter of the owner came up to me and was like, "Whenever you need anything." Then this time, I guess her cousin, the niece of the owner, came up to me and was like, "We all know what you do for this place."
I also like it's a family affair. I like that.
I think I'm part of. They're Greek. I want to be part of the family. Invite me for Easter. Invite me for Greek Easter at the Wheat Chief.
Yeah, some lemon potatoes.
Ended the night at the Wheat Chief, but. Then we went and got food and I was at home and in bed by 11 p.m.
I do love that. I did. Yeah. We took off at like 11:30 or something like that.
Anyways, I loved it. Finally, Jacob, what's something that you're loving this week?
Okay. This is just a shout out to the Run Club, which I think is on this week for sure. We're typically pretty bad about getting our days right, but we do this Wednesday evenings right after work and Saturday mornings.
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm a pretty good runner.
Yes.
I like running. I love running. I also like running with other people sometimes. And here's the other thing that I have been liking about the Run Club is that I think that every week we've done it maybe 3-4 times so far. Yeah. Every time we get to the end of it, someone's either like PR'd or like got a fastest time that they've just done.
Or ran the furthest they've ever ran or something.
Exactly. Yeah, there were a few people that last time. And then this most recent time we're going to do option to do 5K or 7.5K, and I was going to do the 7.5K, and we got to the end of it, and the two people I was running with were like, I don't think I'm going to do it. And then one of them said, actually, let's go and do it. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'll try to pace you a little bit lower. Not to say that it has nothing to do with being about me.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that I like participating and helping people get to the
I love that.
best of their abilities. And I think that Run Club, we're like a very accessible run
Yes.
club where we're not trying to like PR and like win a race. We're just trying to get everyone to do their best and
start
feel
running
good.
and feel a little bit better each time.
Yeah, and I think that the vibes have been really high, and the last
Yeah.
time especially, the vibes are really high.
Well, it was
which is
so
good.
wholesome because we like ordered coffee on the Saturday morning runs. I'll order like coffee and tea for after, and it was so wholesome because it was like everyone finished and then was like drinking their coffee and just like stand around and chatted for like half an hour, and like was asking what people do for work. It was very wholesome.
Yeah, and just to loop it back, because I don't want to like leave that hanging thread of me saying I was a good runner, because the tie-in to that is I like when it could be running or anything else, when you're able to use your skills to help
Of course.
other people. It just feels good.
Jacob,
So that's
you
another
also
PSA.
literally
like,
have to be part of Run Club Girls. Like I can't be the one pacing everybody up at the front. It's so good because I'm like, it's good because like you need like the rounding it out for like there are people that are like way faster that run at like your pace, your speed, and then it just like helps round
it's
it
a
out.
really good mix. It's a really good mix.
is
Something you're loving, Sarah.
I'm loving performing.
Ooh.
I did it all through high school, elementary school, and all of that, like drama and improv and musical theater, whatever it might be. And improv like scratches that itch for me a lot, and especially since we're working towards our second improv show right now.
Yeah.
I sold it out in like a day. Okay, it's like all my friends and family that are gonna be there. But yeah, it's like it makes me really excited, and like working towards working on a show and building out a show and like performing with people that like you trust. And I don't know, like was I searching up local musical theater in Toronto the other day? There's no shows that interest me right now, but I was looking it up just for the fun of it.
Incredible.
So we'll see. Performing's like fun, so maybe I'll keep doing it.
Do we expand and get you a musical theater agent?
No. I
We're
can't.
not quite
So
yet.
this is the issue. I'm like a horrible dancer, so I can't be in shows that are dance heavy. They've got to be just like vocals.
Okay,
Essentially.
Let's bridge the gap. At least next time we do a Talking Fast live, can we do like an improv jam?
Oh, an improv jam, 100%. We could do an improv show. I'm literally trying
Bring
to
a couple of people
I'm trying
from
to
your
convince my
class.
friends to do an improv.
Yeah, that'd be
show.
fun. We'll have a musician as part of the show. We'll do some interviews, and then we'll have a couple
peak
of
variety show.
people from your class. Exactly. Yeah. That'd be fun.
You get a little bit of everything. I feel like we get so many questions on this show looking for career advice, new grad life, hiring processes, interviews, all of this. And we're not the experts. Who better to bring in than the ray of sunshine that is Emily, the recruiter, one of my favorite people to see at anything, at any event.
I was going to say, you're my comfort person.
I was going to say, you're like a glue person when I see you at an event. I go, thank God.
I'm like, oh, Sarah's here finally. I'm like, I'm going to have someone to sit next to.
Literally, thank God. Thank you so much for being here.
Are you kidding? I'm so happy to be
I'm
here.
so stoked. We do is yap, so this is the perfect outlet to do it.
It's honestly insane that this is the first time our yap session has been recorded.
I know.
Because sometimes I fear maybe our yap session has been recorded without our knowledge, because it is
that's
just
true.
like 45
Yeah.
minutes of, and did you watch last week's episode of The
Yes.
Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
Exactly.
And do we think Lisa quit for real?
100%.
So much. No, I
but I
agree.
also think the reason I relate to on such different levels is because like corporate world coming from like it is different in the influencer space when you can relate to somebody that also has like been through that whole world, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because even before we started recording, we were talking about like the notion of real work. And I think work is so quickly being redefined, right? Like work is ultimately whatever makes you money.
Mm-hmm.
I think what the influencing world has is like a unique brand of politics.
Yes.
And then the corporate traditional 9-to-5 world has its own unique, equally crazy brand of politics. And I totally get you because you can always tell, and there's no right or wrong, both are completely valid careers, but you can really tell when someone's been traumatized by a 65-year-old man in an office. Do you know what I mean?
Or a 65-year-old woman.
And whoever got promoted first.
Yeah.
And in today's economy, probably the 65-year-old man. You know what I
Probably
mean?
the man,
But
yes.
like it is what it is. But no, it's so true. Like it's a unique trauma bond, dare I say?
Yeah, you can
Dare I
just
say?
feel it. You can feel it. Like I know I'm going through it right now in the sense of I've talked openly on the podcast about shifting from full-time corporate 9-to-5 work to, which granted my job was never like traditional 9-to-5, but it's still like majority of the time was still like going to an office from 9 till 5, whatever, to then working for myself, and I'm so trained like a corporate 9 to 5. Like it's taken me months to be like, oh, I don't have to sit on my desk online from 9 till noon and then take an hour.
Is there anyone like your bosses that were at the corporate job, for example, who did judge you for leaving and doing something a little bit more giggy?
I was a rule follower, so I didn't really like during
or
the day.
I guess the question is like, is that something that is
Evolving?
just made up in your head? That any kind
like
of judgment
the productivity rules?
Yeah. That like, oh, you should be doing
I got
a
more
real
loose.
job.
I think it's when you're first working somewhere, it's like you're way more intense about it, and then you get more loose as you've been there.
I think it
Right,
depends on
right.
industry too. Like I used to work. Can I drop company names?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know.
Dropped
I was
Please.
gonna say,
They know.
I'm here for the tea. So
And unfortunately, I've had such wonderful media training that the tea will be lukewarm at best. But I used to work at BMO Capital Markets, and that was obviously not as an investment banker, but
Yeah.
if you thought that was very flattering. And honestly, that was one of those cultures where it didn't loosen up. Like if anything, your airtime was so closely tied to performance and like the
Interesting.
perception of hard work. But I felt the same, like transitioning into a space where like, yes, there is structure, but how you define productivity at work.
So different.
Oh my God. They're like sitting at a desk doesn't mean you're doing high value work. I would
100%.
argue if you're working overtime every single week to get your job done, your job is either like grossly misscoped or you're bad at your job.
Exactly.
Or you're not good.
100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's
because
so
it's
true.
It's not
Optics of it.
necessary. Like my sister, stand up, go outside.
Yeah,
You know?
I used to work at Yahoo. That was my first job at school.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I was a Yahoo girl. Yahoo Sports. I was the first girl hired to that team. I
Congratulations.
have the
but also
trauma to
terrifying.
remember
Yeah.
it by. But it was like classic in that era of like 2018 tech companies that are like, look, we're cool. We have a ping pong table and free lunch. Like we catered lunch, but then you never leave the building. And like I then started being like, I need to see the sun. Like I'm coming in at like 9 and not leaving until 6 most days. Like I need to be able to see the sun. So I would go for my afternoon coffee, and I just felt the judgment always to be like, oh, like
I just saw a TikTok of someone who was for a tech company. I don't know, probably one of the biggest tech companies, but they charter a bus from somewhere in the city to, wherever the big corporate
a big
office is
thing,
outside. Yeah. And he was doing a walkthrough of how cool it was. They have desks in this double-decker bus to go and plug in and do work on your way. I was like, that's your commute.
Giving severance.
Yeah, I'm just like,
No, like
your
Audi is miserable,
yeah,
sister.
your tone
Your
is
innie, all of them.
your
Everyone
tone
is sad.
You're bragging right now, but I'm judging you. You should be like enjoying yourself.
But I think, okay, so actually it's in California, like in Silicon Valley, that is such a thing.
it's
Like
such a different world.
you'll also see, you'll see like when you're driving through the valley at the Google office, here's looking at you, Google. People literally will live an hour or two away from Mountain View, California, where most of these offices are. They purchase RVs. They live in the parking lot because it's cheaper to live there. And even with your big sexy salary, like you can't afford to live there. But there's this culture of like, we should be grateful for these perks,
100%.
right? Like, oh my gosh, we've got a PS4, babe. If that's amazing. If you use that to take a break during your paid 9 to 5, love that for you. Go play your game.
Yeah.
That's not what a lot of companies' intentions are. The intention is you'll work the extra hour because you gave up your lunch chit-chatting. That's your legally entitled unpaid time off. Like get off your double-decker bus. Mommy, I'm scared.
It's insane.
I'm scared.
Have you seen though, like as someone that works like in recruitment and like works with all these different companies and then as like a career consultant and stuff as well, have you seen a shift though? Like are companies like being less shitty? Are we now going back the full circle? Because I feel like the pandemic, it was like, oh, everyone can work from home. And I've seen your videos where we talk about like now they're rolling back work from home or things like that. Like, does it feel like the pandemic did actually shift the work culture, or are we actually just reverting back?
Can I nerd out in this answer?
Yes.
Like I have
love it.
goosebumps in the sense that like, mommy, I'm scared. Okay, so basically in 2020, we saw something called the Great Resignation, right? And this was a term people threw around. What that basically meant was employees were tired of being asked to work 9 to 5, sometimes way more than that, like oftentimes way more than that, for the same pay, working at home, meaning there was no division, no promotions because everything was put on pause. Also, by the way, millions of people are ill and are dying, and you're living through this like shared traumatic experience. So people self-selected out of the job market, not just looking for new jobs, but they were like, no, like I'm gonna either file for my CERB check or whatever that may be, or I'm gonna side hustle. So all the power was in employees' hands. Like it was our time. The challenge for me as a recruiter to hire talent then, like it was hard getting people to sign because they were like, my incentive is to protect my mental health because that's all I have right now. That shift started to die when tech said, okay, great. there's a lot of great talent right now. What if we increased our hiring? So you saw Amazon, you saw Google, you saw Apple surge hiring. For example, I think this was Amazon or Apple. I think it was Amazon, hired 21,000 people over the course of 2020. By 2021, they fired 11,000. And no one talked about that because it was this big boom. So you create jobs, you take them away. Basically, where we are at right now is there is significantly more job seekers than jobs available. And what's exasperating that today is, oh my God, I warned you I was going to nerd out. I'm so sorry.
No, this is what we want. This is what we want.
Not. So what's happening today, so you've got this like tech boom that bumped, basically.
Yeah.
Big hole. We can't really fill it. Population's going up. The skills we need for the jobs we have, okay, raise your hand if you were taught AI in school. The crowd is silent. So the jobs you're hiring for, you don't have the talent trained to do it. And now in today's political environment, if tariffs hit the way they hit, or we anticipate they will, we're going to fall into a 2008 level recession. Like that is a fact. We're going to fall into layoffs we have not seen before. That coupled with the outpacing of jobs, triple coupled, thrupled, if you will, with inflation not matching how much companies can give us in raises. This is, oh my God, I have nothing nice to say. It's not good.
What do you recommend to someone to, we get questions on our voicemail segment of, I have this opportunity or have a passion that I want to follow. Maybe someone wants to go and become a yoga teacher and go and take, a month-long session in Bali to become a yoga teacher and totally throw out their career.
Yeah.
If that is a thought that's crossing their mind, and it's not 100% they have to do that right now, what would you say to them?
I think a couple of things I want to say. The first is, you don't have to love your job. Your job can be something that funds the way you live and funds your social life, funds what matters to you, which might be yoga, which might be volunteering. Like your job doesn't have to be your purpose. It just needs to pay the bills. So I think detaching the word career from the word job is totally healthy. In today's market especially, always prioritize your mental health. You have 1,000 problems in the world until you have one, which is your health. There's nothing that's going to be more important than that. With that being said, if you are quitting your job without a job in the back pocket, you better have a rich and dying husband. Now taking out, you want to talk about jobs I'm hiring for, now taking applications. The next thing is you need to have savings. Like you need to have some money in the back pocket. If you are absolutely dying to get out of this job, you are miserable, please, 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 now's the time to start with your side hustles. Now's the time to start aggressively applying. It's not impossible to get a job, but it's going to be more competitive.
Do you recommend people also, like speaking about who is taught AI in school? Probably no one. If someone is in a career and thinking about maybe, okay, down the line, I want to shift where I go, or I'm worried about my job security because, maybe a changing landscape, do you recommend people kind of in the background also start to not necessarily retrain, but learn new skills at the same time?
It's a really good question. And I think it depends on your industry. So if you are a software engineer, most major tech companies right now won't interview if you don't have AI machine learning background. 5 years ago, that was beyond not the case.
Yeah.
Like that was not even a conversation. In marketing, like you're now seeing this whole new world open up where AI is automating the things that we do. It's smart suggesting. I even look at products like MailChimp. Like MailChimp's capabilities. Should I be talking about this for free? Intuit, I do love you, so I will. Clip soundbite that. MailChimp has like incredible AI capabilities where it's smart suggesting email marketing campaigns, right? So I think you as an employee, you don't need to be an AI expert. You just need to know how to be better at your job because of AI. And I would actually argue double down on the one thing AI cannot replace, which is relationships. That is the one thing AI cannot do. And I think like the number one skill we're going to see being a gap is the ability to navigate conflict. Like right now, if I'm in a text with a man, the way I'm going to ChatGPT saying, girl, how do I smoke this man? Yeah. How do I take him down? 100%. And we're so used to relying now on ChatGPT and other platforms to coach us through things, but that in person, like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can we talk about that? That life skill, that's being lost. So I would say it really depends on your industry.
What would you say are the industries that like so say we are entering a recession and we are like going through this whole thing. Like what are industries that you will still be able to find work in or still will thrive under something that's like that doom and gloom and horrible? And what are the ones that are maybe people that have maybe they're a new grad and this is the industry they're looking to get into, like maybe like, I don't know, whether it's like beefing up education or beefing up like in another area or like looking at a different skill set?
It's a good question. And honestly, like I'd be lying if I said I knew the answer.
Yeah.
The only universal truths are when stuff hits the fan, when it comes to budgets getting cut, the first thing that gets cut is human resources and marketing and ad dollars. Those are the first three things. And if you're a student listening to this, don't panic. It just means you need to think differently about what does work mean to me.
For sure.
So still apply for those jobs, go crazy with your networking, like make that your full-time job, but also list your services, maybe at a discounted rate on Fiverr. Why aren't you building a consulting portfolio? Like this is really the year. If you're on the fence about starting that side hustle, even if it's an extra $6,000 a year, okay, amazing. That's incredible. Like in this economy, take that, you invest that means something. So I definitely would say like, don't change your career for the economic times we're in, because we've been saying it's been unprecedented times for 6 years. Like it's not going anywhere.
That's
true. I'm going to preach this and I'll probably be back next year with like 6 more wrinkles and like 35 more units of Botox and be like, Sarah, mommy, I'm scared. And like the same thing's going to happen. Yeah, I'm scared.
It's so what is like, what do you think the question that you get the most as somebody that like is a career consultant and like a career coach, recruiter? What is the question you get the most from like young people entering the job market right now? Or like trying to maybe they're trying to make a switch. Like what is the question you get the most?
Honestly, the big one is how to stand out. Like you are in a world pre-pandemic, there were jobs you would apply to, like let's say a marketing analyst job, maybe 200 applicants. Today, that same job, 1,500.
And it's in all industries. Like my partner's a lawyer, and like that's even like any law job, if he like looks at it, there are like 500 applicants even for that too, which used to be like an industry that was very like
hard to get into. So that's the thing. Like the competition is so fierce and is so intense. What you really need to think about is less about your on paper resume, because everyone's using, I feel like I'm really crapping on AI. I'm actually very pro AI, but you know, people are using AI and these similar platforms to build out their resume. So everyone's resume kind of looks and sounds the same.
Right.
Same with your cover letters. Your LinkedIn, okay, it's a website. You know what I mean? What's really going to differentiate you as a candidate is your relationship building skills.
100%.
You need to be networking like your life depends on it, because it does. Like you need to be going absolutely ham, berserk, building connections, following up, asking for favors and referrals.
Well, and let's be real. I used to hire people at CBC at a corporate job. Most of the time, if there is somebody that you know or know of, that's who gets pulled for the interviews. That's how it always happens.
Yes.
It's just the reality, because they don't want to have to go through the 700 or sorry, an AI system goes through the 700 applicants, pulls some resumes, but if your resume isn't like optimized for these systems, then it doesn't get pulled. But it's like how this city is, like Toronto specifically, is always ran. It's always been like, who do you know? Like what is the
80% of jobs globally are filled via referral. And actually, I will say though, on the note of AI, the AI being used in the applicant tracking system, which is where all of resumes tend to live, it's not as good as people think it is. And it's super interesting. I was writing about this in my book this week. Oh, who said that?
a book? A book?
Oh my God. Wow. August 2026.
That's
but
crazy.
No, I was like, this is such a big part of it, where people have this idea that AI is throwing out your resume, right? Like you don't have the keywords. I remember one time, this is so nuts. I was at BMO and this one candidate, part of me wanted to hire him because I was like, you might be the right kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Background of his resume, right? It's all the keywords on his job description in white text.
Oh, really? Does that work though? So like,
Of course not.
okay, yeah. There are no like little tricks. It's a little conspiracy theorist.
No, it was so bad that it was good. I was almost like, part of me wants to hire you because I love like the push. But the idea that these keywords are the reason your resume is getting read, that's not the case. Like in most North American companies, it's still recruiters manually reading, because AI is not good. And you have to remember, like from a legal perspective, right? AI is learning from people. Like AI is absorbing the information from those around us. Who, can I be controversial? Who is building out the systems for hiring? Old white men.
Yeah.
So AI is learning from the hiring practices of a system that was designed to see most people fail. So like from a legal risk perspective, companies aren't going to say, oh yeah, I'm going to automate my hiring through this platform. And who's to say that it's actually hiring in a fair and equitable way? It's probably not.
So if it's not AI that's throwing out the resumes because they're not picking up background white text tricks,
which is actually kind of smart.
Kind of tea.
Thinking outside the box.
I like it.
Yeah. I like it.
What are some of the more popular reasons for someone to be like, oh, you're getting disqualified immediately?
Oh,
That's a good one. So
Office siren. Have you done a video on that yet?
I did a video because you know what? Office siren is so hot. The only cheeks I should be seeing of the office are up here. You know what I mean?
No,
keep
it's
those
crazy.
clappers away from me,
it's
sister.
crazy.
I
It's
work
crazy.
in HR. It's too much. And listen, the girls look good.
but you look good for the bar after work, not for in the office.
Like, please. And you know what? Live your best life. That's your truth. I need to let you live there. As they say, I'm very important people, but like, it's just too much. It's too much. Now, girl, what was your question?
What are things actually getting thrown out?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, biggest thing you have to remember, a recruiter is the person reviewing your resume. On average, they're making a decision off of 6 seconds. They're going to look at your resume for 6 seconds. They're not reading it. They're scanning it. So the biggest thing is formatting. You have to have the right format for your industry. An investment banking resume is not the same as a marketing resume.
For sure.
Other big thing is the way that you structure your actual work experience. If you're not leading with verbs, like powerful action verbs, things are getting missed in that scan. The biggest thing though, like if I could summarize it into one point, recruiters have never worked in your industry. So a lot of people have very convoluted, like meaty resumes where it's, did XYZ with this technology. And like, it's so intense and it's wonderful. And we love that.
That's for the interview.
I don't understand what you're talking about. Right. And you might get a good recruiter who's going to Google that and say like, okay, great. Now I know. You're probably getting a recruiter who doesn't have the time. And you're not going to get the job because they're not very good at theirs. And like, that's really scary.
Right.
But that's the reality of it.
And if they've only ever worked in the system, as we said, created by the old white man, and it just like continues going in the same like that way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just had a question based off of that. Where did it go, Marie?
She's back.
Do cover letters matter anymore?
I'm so over cover letters. Like,
I think they're the dumbest. I never know. As someone that used to have to read them, appreciate that you wrote it, but they all sound the same. And everyone uses, like you said about AI, or they use the same like cover letter format, insert this, that, whatever.
But are there not, if you're applying for a job, and I've only done this
force you to.
once, so I don't even know. But like,
He's like, in my experience,
if you're
what a man.
Aren't there a lot of times the goal? Aren't there a lot of times where you have to upload a document though?
Sometimes.
Yeah, but like,
so like, would you say like, yeah, upload it, but do it in an interesting way, or would you do something crazy,
it's
wild,
like,
different?
I'm a big believer in work smart, don't work hard. So if it's required on your application, yeah, dude, you'd be an idiot not to put it in.
Yeah.
Do your cover letter. Use that shitty template off.
Yes.
I don't care.
But you're not even looking at it.
I do because I carry a big fear of guilt and feeling like a crummy person.
Okay,
So me personally, absolutely, I'm reading it. An average
the
recruiter's
average
not.
one
Gotcha.
So
exactly.
cover letters for conservative industries, and when I say that, I mean like government, banking, consulting, maybe data and analytics. Yeah, throw your cover letter in there.
Old organizations like the CBC.
Yeah, like if you work at a
Crown
big
Corps,
yes,
You're
a
right.
big clunker of an organization. Put it this way: if your company is probably older than 60 years old, you probably need a cover letter.
Yeah.
I would not spend more than 10 minutes. I would not be customizing that. I would not be losing sleep. Take all of that time, invest that into networking. That's what gets you the job.
100%.
Because the issue today isn't your cover letter. It's not your resume. It's getting it opened. Nobody is opening your profile.
Exactly.
That's the reality.
If I'm in Toronto and I want to post my degree, I want to move. My goal is to move to a different country, and I can't necessarily network in person there. What's the best way to go about that? Is that trying to find an email address for someone within the company that might be, your direct reporting manager?
Yeah.
Is it that? Is it something else? What's the best you can do?
It's a good question. So I would actually argue you don't need to in-person network.
No.
And I don't think that's even the best use of your time. I would say for any country you want to work in, go to LinkedIn, determine your dream job. Like, what's the ideal state here? Like, what are the top 10 to 15 companies we're looking at? Look up people who are in that title. Look up people who are the level above. So for example, I'm looking at a marketing analyst role. I'm going to look up marketing analyst at Google. Then I'm going to look up senior marketing manager, marketing lead. I'm going to reach out to literally all of them because on average, 1 in 10 of those individuals is responding. But just like with love, baby, all it takes is one.
I love that.
All it takes is one. All you need to lock eyes with one person at the grocery store and it's over for you. That's kind of the energy you need to take.
Right.
So you're going to reach out. The goal is to ask for a coffee chat. You're not going to go in and be like, hey, refer me for this job. Girl, who are you? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
go nurture a relationship, have a coffee, make the goal learning. The same way, like, for example, we meet at, I use work events because ultimately we do talk about Real Housewives a lot.
Yes.
And that's
it's a loose term, but it's still work.
That be work.
It's our
the way we connect is it's like, oh my gosh, so how did you end up like filming that campaign? Like,
Yeah,
how did you find the
exactly.
lighting for that? And you end up just learning from each other organically.
100%.
And the next thing you know, it's like, hey, do you want to come on my show? Hey, did you meet this person? You should connect with them.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
networking. Like,
exactly.
So treat it like you're just meeting interesting people and having conversations.
But, okay, but you and I are, I mean, like extroverts,
certified yappers.
So this is what I feel like. So I'm gonna say like the cockiest thing I've ever said on this.
Let
podcast.
it out, sister.
I've never interviewed for a job that I didn't get offered because I know how to. I was great at interviewing. I knew how to play. It felt like a game. I knew how to do it.
Yeah.
I knew how to and then after my first couple jobs, I never interviewed again because all my jobs were just referral based. But I'm an extrovert and I'm good at networking. I love to like chat with people like, oh, I'll refer you to this, that, whatever we just talked about. What do you do if you're an introvert? Like, how do they then stand out? Because you said like stand out in whatever ways you can. Like for me, it's just I never shut the fuck up. That's how I stand out. But
me as well.
Someone who's an introvert, how can they still stand out? Because they might be more qualified for a job or like have these opportunities, but it's just not inherently who they are.
It's a really good question. And I actually think, so this is something I've struggled with my own imposter syndrome, where I'm like, am I good at what I do, or am I just really loud about what I do?
But I think to be good at what you do, you have to be loud about it.
And like that is being an introvert, I think is such a superpower, because by definition, the personalities we have, we are, I don't want to say like the power we have at work is almost the power of conversation.
100%.
The power of an introvert is to decide if that conversation makes sense and if it holds value and they think critically. And when I think of the gaps I have, oh yeah, it's in the details, like in the minutia.
Same.
I'll say something, I'm like brilliant, groundbreaking, and then I hear it back and I'm like, oh, that was stupid what I said. That's the reality, right? So I think as an introvert, even as an extrovert maybe who gets exhausted by feeling like you need to perform for these opportunities, you need to find ways to highlight your experience and build connection in a way that doesn't feel like work to you. Like I've had some introverted clients where I'll literally reach out to them and say like, so you hate these group settings, stop going. Reach out to people one-on-one. Yeah. The best thing you can do is pick a topic. Have a crutch topic. Like have a topic where you know if you're going to feel uncomfortable and like it's going to be pulling teeth to try to sell your skills, have a specific topic you go back to. Hey, I just worked on this project where we launched blah, 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 blah. It was so stressful. Have you done that before? Oh my gosh, how did you navigate it? Like suddenly you have something to go off of, and pick different ways to highlight your experience. So if you are at work, and I feel the same, like there was one job I will never forget I got rejected from, and I still think of her. But every other job, it was mostly a yes, because you show up and act like you deserve to be there, and suddenly people think
you act like
do.
a white man.
You do.
Confidence of a white man. Someone told me that in first year university, and I was like, I could do that.
Just call me my brothers. I was like, absolutely.
Yeah,
like,
it's like truly.
Emilio Durham tapping in. Like, no, it's the exact same thing. So you just have to find, I think, different ways to showcase your experience. You don't have to be the loudest. And also as an introvert, you do need to remember the loudest in the room is not the smartest in the room. They're just the loudest in the room.
Yeah.
Like, so you are just as qualified. Just find new ways to shine that light.
We teased it a little bit, and you just did a subtle drop. You're writing a book.
Hell yeah.
What are you allowed to tell us about it?
Almost nothing other than August 2026.
That's so exciting.
We're being published with Tartar Perigee, so they are a division of Penguin. We are very, very excited.
So cool.
We're screaming, crying, and throwing up. I can't say much other than like it is literally the most practical, like no fluff, no bullshit guide to not hate your life, but still make a lot of money. And like no fluff, if you like cussing, if you like feeling like you're on FaceTime with a friend, like that is the vibe of this book. It's truly a book for bad bitches. I'm so sorry.
I love that.
How's the process been? Is it like, I can't imagine sitting down and writing a book, no matter what the end product is supposed to look like, but are you into it? Are you overwhelmed by it?
I'm just so overwhelmed with gratitude that like the fact that I get to wake up and put so much of like what's been in my mind, because I'm sure, you know, like as people who make content on the internet, there's only so many ways you can say something, but it's still not capturing like the depth and the why, and here's how to change your, like there's so much that
especially in short form.
Literally that was like on the tip of my tongue. So I think it's just felt like really freeing to be able to say like, and here's why you think these things. And like, here's the relationship we have to work is so little about work and so much more about the relationship you have to yourself. So like that has been so exciting, and reading it back, I'm like, like I wish I had this when I was 19. So now I'm so excited.
I love that.
And are we going to get, I feel like you...
advanced copies or
well,
arcs?
Advanced copies for sure. But
Jacob doesn't really really read, but maybe he'll read
We can
your
teach
book.
him.
Well, no, this is what I was going to say. It's so funny you say that, because what I was just going to say is, as someone who, I mean, did you not just call yourself a certified yapper at some point? Is there an audiobook? Is that a potential? And if
there's
not
not,
officially,
clip
can
it.
you?
Clip it.
Yeah. Can you?
We're working. You know what? TBD.
Division of Penguin, please give an audiobook.
This is
pray.
our pitch. Yeah,
Our
that
pitch.
please make one.
Please, yes. If not, I'm just gonna come over and I'm gonna sit right here and be like,
Just literally
Do the
record it
whole-
for us.
the
welcome to
entire
Talking
book.
Fast. It's like,
Talking
"Hi,
Fast
Sarah."
exclusive, and it's like every week it's a couple more chapters.
No, literally, but no, I'm so excited. It was something that's been like on my heart for years. So like being able, that was my big career
that's
goal.
so
Like
fun.
that was my vision board thing this year.
So wait, August 2026.
Absolutely.
We're recording this in March
Of 2025.
Do you have like a deadline? That would stress me out.
Yeah, it's very soon. It's 6 weeks away.
Oh, whoa.
No,
so
yeah,
Close,
mommy
soon.
shaking.
close.
Yeah. And I feel
Soon.
we're mostly there. I feel really good about it.
Okay.
But as good as you can feel about something you've been looking at nonstop for a year.
Oh, yeah, because
Yeah.
I guess like if it comes out in August 2026, they send out copies like way in advance. There's like there's like all
So
that process.
even like the editing alone, like
I
right now
bet.
the only person who's read it is me. And my
Oh,
mom,
Right,
yeah,
right.
and obviously my mom is like, everything you touch is gold. How did I make you?
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is not helpful.
Like, thank you so much. I actually need you to rip this to shreds.
Yeah, I'm like, I
for
need you
me.
to look me in the eyes and be like, failure. You know, like that's what I need. No, I'm so excited.
So you said this was a career goal, which I love. One thing that I love talking about is, and you mentioned it off the top, is that your job does not have to be like your entire life, your entire personality. Like it doesn't have to be like everything. It can just be a way to like pay the bills. Do you think though that like the internet and how we see things and all this like really affects hustle culture, like that like girl boss era that was like what we grew up with?
Disgusting.
Do you think that really affects people feeling lesser than if they aren't super career driven? Because it is just a fact that some people are career driven and some people aren't.
100%. I think especially like, and I love TikTok for so much, but TikTok is a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
Like what is, it's like the way we see trend cycling, like things happen so quickly because we consume so quickly. And I think there's a lot of consumerism that's pushed obviously on TikTok. And a lot of that is fueled by the ability to have these purchasing decisions, people purchasing thousands of dollars of makeup in a global pandemic where people were getting laid off. Like there's no shade. I'm so happy for those people, but there is a real pressure that, you know, puts, you know, financially on others. So I think there's a lot of stigma around like, oh, if you're not career motivated, you're lazy. Okay, great. Well, that's like saying IQ is more important than EQ. That's not really true. Like you can have the motivation to be the best friend in the world and you pour in your energy and you go to your job and you do your job and it doesn't keep you up at night and it pays the bills and you live for seeing the girls afterwards.
Exactly.
Or you live for going on a run with your friend. Like I think we put so much pressure on ourselves like to have labels attached to us and, you know, to be able to say like, oh, I'm a blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm
100%.
this, I'm that. And you should be very proud of where you've come from. But if your job is the most interesting thing about you, you are not interesting and you need to absorb that. Like you need to sit with yourself
That's
on
why I
that.
stopped asking people what they do for work is the first thing when I meet them, because
I love that.
I was laid off at 23 from Yahoo. Fuck that place.
Oh, Yahoo.
Yeah. Tech, big tech company, hired a bunch of people, and then
Look where they are
went,
now.
see
Didn't
ya.
they buy Tumblr?
Yeah, they did,
Rats.
and
yeah.
ran it into
Ruined
the
it.
ground.
Yeah.
They did.
Ruined it.
What? They're not going to pay us for anything. I used to work. I
No,
thought you were
no,
getting mad at
hey,
me for
listen,
saying
no,
fuck
no,
that.
no,
place.
No, I'm
no.
okay with saying no to
No.
Yahoo unless you actually specifically let me rebrand Tumblr. Then I'm all
Yeah, no, they sold it off again. It's
Those rats.
Like they bought it, then they did nothing with it, then they sold it off again. Anyway, it was
rude.
classic like tech company, like grew too quickly. I had this weird gut feeling like this does not feel good. I was there before it happened, and then they like laid us off on a random Wednesday 2 weeks before Christmas. Classico, like the most classic
Love.
layoff ever. And that literally screwed with my identity so much at 23 years old that I was like, what am I if I'm not a producer at this cool company? Like I just had so much riding on it. So it really taught me so early that I no longer ask people first, like, what do they do for work? Because I don't want people to assume that like their entire identity should come from work. Because the reason that was so hard on me was because at the time, my entire identity was, I'm Sarah, the producer that works at Yahoo. Like it was who I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there, from a, I guess, the perspective of a company that might be hiring, is that culture that Sarah was referring to earlier, you know, the kind of classic tech bro, oh, we have a bunch of pool tables at the office, we have a bunch of snacks. Like my girlfriend, for example, she went back to work post-COVID and there aren't as many snacks at the office
No,
these
there's
days.
not.
Do you
There's
think
not.
that from a company perspective, there has been a little bit of a vibe shift where they don't want or they want a divide a little bit, or they respect a vibe a little bit more these days between work-life balance.
Between your innie and outie? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. Every company is going to say, yes, the pandemic redefined how we look at balance. And like, we really want to make sure you're feeling supported. I think the reality is no. And I think the evidence for that is return to work. Right?
Okay, wait, sorry, you can ask your
I was just
question,
going to say,
then
it's probably
take.
understandable because, their goal is to make money. Their company, they're not someone who necessarily has to care
Bottom
about
line
that.
is the bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've all watched Severance. I'm one episode
Okay, but
behind.
I'm like 2 or 3,
We're
so
not
like
going to
don't
spoil anything. Oh my
immediately
God.
put a stop to it.
We are not going to spoil anything. I want to know people's take, because it's a topic that all my friends and I talk about now is, do you think, obviously this show, there's like more like depth to the severing, and we know that like there's lots happening, but at its core, with like what the whole idea was, so that you could have work-life balance, do you think if that was a real thing, one, people would do it, and would you guys ever sever?
This is a great question.
I feel like people would do it. Would I?
I think people would do it if they worked in like healthcare. You don't want to take that trauma home. I've thought about that because I also watch The Pit now, which is
She's
like
like, I'm
healthcare
actually
show.
a doctor.
So no, but like I could imagine like the
Yeah.
trauma you'd bring home from that. I think like if you can like do your job and produce it at a high quality and still know all of like but then again, it's weird because like I guess it's all just in work anyways, but like if you can remember everything, then why wouldn't you sever?
I don't know. See, the thing is, I think about it from a philosophical perspective, like the whole argument of bring your whole self to work. What I love about Severance is Severance like fundamentally shows you that there's no such thing as bringing your whole self to work.
For sure.
Because part of your whole self is defined in the space that you exist in. So like, am I allowed to spoil a little bit? Like not season 1 spoilers only.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know Mark's got a big fat crush on Helly, right?
Yeah.
But in the context of the outer world, Mark and Helena, that would never happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you are so much a product of the environment you operate
so
in.
true.
Like that's what I love about Severance is I think it's such an interesting take also on how like mundane and meaningless everything is. Like the work is
that they're
mysterious
doing
and important.
and they're just like
Numbers.
scrolling on they're like organizing look for the scary numbers. You're just
Pretty
organizing
important,
numbers
though,
on
I
the
would
Literally
computer.
me sending an email at 19 dry heave crying at the Bank of Montreal being like, this is the most important thing I've ever done. And the most
Right,
important thing I've ever done was stapling resume bundles together. Like, okay, all to say I would not sever because I'm nuts and I know I would reintegrate.
I would too.
I'm
same.
nosy. I'd be like, what's that bitch doing?
There's no world. There's no world. I wouldn't either. I just think it's like maybe in jobs that are like very dangerous or like jobs that people really don't want to do. Could that be a solution for
And
it?
I mean, like, I think that one of the other running themes, though, too, is that even if you do sever, there's no real escape from suffering, right? On either
That's a
side,
really
they
good
still
take,
kind of
yeah.
have that. So why do it in the first place?
I think it's like like everything in theory, not a bad idea.
Like
but
conceptually, I'm into it.
Yeah.
In reality, the way I would be so Mark. Do you know what I mean? I'd be so like, I would be sobbing and drunk on the outside, and then I'd be in that little cubicle like, who wants to run amok?
I know, exactly.
Who wants to break out? Like that would be so me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love when they're like, my Audi got so drunk, but it's okay. My innie's the one who has to deal with it at work.
Even have you seen the TikTok trends where people are like redoing the break room scenes where it's
Yes.
like your Audi is like
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, oh my
And
god,
then they're like,
it's
my
so
Audi's
funny.
boring as hell.
Yes, or it's like your Audi posts that they go to Orange Theory every day, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, I fear I hate my Audi right now. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm integrated, girl. Like, man.
It is funny though. I do think that show is opening up an interesting conversation though about like the whole facade and like what work-life balance is. We get that question all the time. How do you have work-life balance? As, like you're a busy gal, I'm a busy gal. Like most people that do a lot of things. I just don't think it's like ever existed as much as everyone thinks it does.
It's not real.
It's not real. And it's like this thing that people tried to sell you. And I think this show does a really good job of showing that it never existed, babe, ever.
No, it was never on the menu. You never ordered it.
No.
Fundamentally, something has to give at all times.
Always.
One other question that I feel that we get frequently is from people who are maybe in their first job, second job, maybe after university. They want to progress in their career. They want to get that promotion. They want to get a raise. What is the couple practical tips can span any kind of field really for
Yeah.
someone who wants to secure that?
100%. I think there's a couple things. First of all, upward mobility. So getting that promotion doesn't necessarily have to be at the same company. So that is important. But if you're getting whiffs that your company doesn't have budget or they're really lax and laid back with promotions, it's okay to look external. I would actually argue leaving your employer every 3 years financially is going to do you the most
100%.
good. So there is that to consider. But if you like your company and you're like, you know what, I would grow here, you need to be keeping an ongoing tracker of every microscopic win you have ever had. Like I am talking a folder of every nice thing everyone has ever said about you. I want you tracking that. And I want you to be having regular one-on-ones with your manager where you are clear about your goals. Like I want you to look them in the eyes and say, my goal is by October for me to be at the management level. What are your thoughts in terms of my skills? Are there gaps? And feedback sucks. None of us want to hear you're not there yet. The best thing you can ever be told is why you're not ready, because that is the blueprint for you to get there. Like that is what you need. So have those honest conversations, track with data, learn the promotion cycle at the company you're at. If they're doing, promotions in December, if you bring it up in October, baby, the ship has sailed. You need to be having this conversation 8 months in advance. Be blunt, ask for feedback, and tell them specifically what you want. Be crazy enough to believe you deserve it, and don't let them tell you no twice. If you are going through this twice, I was going to cuss, but I will not.
We are explicit. I've already said fuck multiple times.
I do.
Fuck out of there.
I feel like I do have friends. Probably everyone has friends though that have been like in group chats or one-on-one. You're like meeting with them from catching up over coffee. Oh, you're still at that place 6 months. I feel like we just chatted last year about this exact thing. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just waiting for someone to kind of take charge on my manager to take charge of my own career and elevate me, as opposed to like you said, leave your job. Even maybe they'll want to retain you, right? Maybe they'll
let them fight.
Yeah, right.
Fight for me. I totally align, not to cut you off. I totally align to that mindset. And that's what we've been taught, right? Is to be like grateful for the job you have, grow, be loyal to the company. And there is some merit in that. But at the end of the day, we live in a world where this company will fire you on Tuesday and have your backfill ready by Friday.
Exactly.
Who are you being loyal to? You're being loyal to someone who really is not being loyal back.
Yeah.
That's like when I have friends that the issue is so many people, they want the validation from their bosses to be like, to notice them and go, you're doing so amazing, I'm going to give you this promotion, when that's not how it works. And I understand, like, through the way we're bred through school and stuff, like we work hard, we get recognized, we get the A, like yay, like you get the recognition, whatever. But that's not how corporate world works. Like they don't want to have to spend more budget. They're not going, like everyone's thinking about themselves. The second they got that GO train home to Burlington, they're not thinking about you at all.
You are off the table.
And so I always seem like sometimes you have to threaten to leave. You have to. That's sometimes, and it's not a card that you can play all the time. You get it one time
and you use it.
And I've used it before, and it works. I've used it one time and it worked, and I got like what I needed, but it was because at that time we hadn't like really vocalized anything else. But you sometimes have to, like, you can't just sit on your hands and be like waiting to be the princess picked at the ball. Like that's not how it's gonna happen.
It's so true. Like, and I think this is where it's challenging as well, because the intersections of identity and how people experience asking for more is what's so interesting. And just to be clear, when I say interesting, I mean fucking evil.
Yeah.
Like so for example, I would always joke, like, especially when I was at Intuit, that I was nuts. Like, and people are like, oh my gosh, like, how did you get this promotion? How did you do that? I'm like, I live in a world where everything I touch turns to gold. I also live in a world from a mindset perspective where I can walk in and say, you're going to give me that 20% raise or I'm getting the hell out of here. And that's never going to be taken as aggressive or be misconstrued. But you think about, even in the negotiations process, and I should have brushed up on the stat, but like the statistics of how white women versus black women are received in the negotiation process is so daunting. And like the division of like salary discrepancies between the two, primarily because of the like palatability around negotiation. So there is a lot to be said for this like brash, I'm getting in there, I'm getting what I want. And to be honest, that's been my very privileged approach through career.
Same.
But I also think it's so disheartening too, now in light of the US pulling back on so many DEI initiatives, where your key decision makers don't have the perspective they need to be able to appreciate everyone doing what you and I have had the privilege of doing, which is like, hey, I could, I'm gonna just take this job where I'm walking, right? So yes, it works, but it works with an asterisk, which 100%. Is what is so frustrating.
Especially exactly what you said, like what's going on in the States now with it being like pulled back when we've had all these years of like development to like make it way better.
Yes, and it was still bad. Like, to be clear, this way better.
It was not, sorry, way better from like 0 to 0.
Yes, like it's literally, but way better from the sense that like, you're not wrong. Like there were things in writing and policies and performance measured. Like there were recruiters, allow me to be bold. The average number of women in technology is 27% in Canada. most organizations were just barely hitting 27 to 35% in terms of the diversity split in their tech teams. That was with DEI principles. And a lot of these big companies are US based, so the law is going to be reflective. So now that it will be a legal risk for companies to track who they're hiring, and it doesn't mean before they were not hiring the best person for the job. They were just intentional about the talent pools they're attracting.
For sure.
Now that that is not a possibility, that was the best they could do.
The number's going to drop.
The number is going to be abysmal, and watch your product
And
suffer.
it also depends on the types of roles that people are in as well. We always talked about this from working in like production and the creative side, is that like, yes, we might have had 50% women in the workforce at the company I was working at, but where is that 50% sitting? They're not in the decision-making positions. They're not in the executive producer chairs, the producer chair. They're not the ones making the calls. They're the ones that work at really important roles, but they work admin, business administration, any of those, the scheduling department, those things. They're not the ones making the creative decisions on content and what is like going on your screens or whatever. So it's like also like if there's even less regulation now and it's based on like all levels of it, then it's just everything's gonna suffer.
Especially even from like a promotions perspective, because that's something that is less common for companies to track. But like, if you really want to see the health of an organization, look at the promotion rates and look at what their C-suite looks like. And there are companies that are out there talking about doing the right thing and blah, blah, blah. Y'all were really loud in 2020, weren't you?
Yeah, right.
And let me see your executive board. Bradley, Yo, Bradley,
Chad.
Bob. It's the cast of Southern Charm.
It's the cast of Southern Charm.
It's Craig and Shep.
It's all
Craig
Craig.
and Shep Rose.
It's all Craig and
it's all
Shep.
Craig. But if it's all Craig, hire me. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? I'm available.
I have loved this chat so much and we could go on forever, but we do have to let you go. Where can everyone find you and hear more about everything you're working on, your book, great career advice, all of it?
Oh my gosh. First of all, I've had so much fun. We could have done this forever.
Yeah.
You can find me everywhere at Emily the Recruiter on TikTok, Instagram, as well as YouTube. And you can listen to my podcast, The Straight Shooter Recruiter.
I love it. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Talking Fast. As you know, we are here every single Wednesday on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, do all of the things. I've been Sarah. That's been Jacob. That's been Emily. And we will see you next week. Bye.